Corpus Christi attorney is in hot water tonight. Officers with the Corpus Christi Vice Division say they not only found drugs at his home, but they think there was a lot more going on. They say there are allegations he traded legal aid for sex. Our Rudy Trevino has the story.
Narcotics and Vice officers arrived at the residence and contacted a 66-year-old man as he was leaving for work.
That 66-year-old man is Corpus Christi attorney John R. Perry. District Attorney Mark Gonzalez held the news conference Friday to detail the charges against him. Police say they busted Perry on his way to work earlier this week, finding a small amount of suspected illegal drugs. Once they executed a search warrant at his house, they say they found more illegal drugs and paraphernalia and made a second arrest.
Also arrested during the raid was Maria Torres, whom investigators discovered had an outstanding warrant to revoke a warrant for possession of controlled substance.
Gonzalez says this case has been on law enforcement's radar for almost a year after allegations surfaced of quid pro quo.
We have found information that would lead us to believe that there are some individuals who are represented by Mr. Perry, and in exchange for those legal services were required to perform sexual acts as an exchange instead of having to secure payment.
Perry is out of jail on bond. The district attorney and police wants to hear from anyone who has been a client of Perry and felt compelled to provide those types of services in lieu of payment.
We feel it's very wrong for someone to violate the oath that we all take, and we all take very seriously here.
Go to our website for the phone number and email address you need to contact. Rudy Trevino, 3 News.